it's really our motivation for all of this. So for those who are not familiar, the Philippines is comprised of 7,107 islands. We are surrounded by water. And for a logistics company like QuadX, the geographical structure of the Philippines is quite a challenge, actually. So for QuadX, we've been operating in the capital region, the Luzon, the Visayas, and Mindanao Islands. And so far, we have tried to reach as much customers, people, especially at the southern part of the country. So what do we do? What are our products? So as I mentioned earlier, we are a logistics company. We focus on payment and delivery systems. We are usually we are enabled by a Radar community in QuadX. So I think one of the milestones of our company is to be able to change the way how riders in the Philippines are viewed by making them our business partners. So we don't hire them as employees, but instead they are their own rightful business owners, and they partner with us to be able to, for us to be able to continue also with our GoGo Express product. We've also established presence in the US and the UK. We have a cross-border logistics product called Shipping Cart. So just last year, hello from our attendees in Malaysia, you can now also use our Shipping Cart product, and we've established presence in Malaysia aside from the Philippines. So that's it for QuadX. And again, I'm here to really talk about what the journey is all about for QuadX. So, sorry, I skipped that. But anyway, when Stanley invited me to share with you guys the journey of QuadX, I just realized that the best way to share how it has been for us is to be able to identify what are those questions that, you know, at some random meeting or some random discussion will pop up, and then it will give everyone an idea of where we really have to go as a company. So some questions would be a matter of a small change for the company, and some would be a very gradual but big change for us. And in my mind, while I was creating the material for tonight, I realized those questions might be something that just pop up and then became bigger. But now, as we go through it made sense how relevant it was for our journey overall. So I'll start with the first one. Where do we start? So I joined the company. I joined QuadX in 2017. At that point in time, I just came from another company where I've been working with teams, and that's the best way I know how to work with teams. When I joined QuadX, this is the whole department team of QuadX. Like, this is it for all the products that we have. These are all the people that will be empowering, enabling all those products. And then I realized, wait, okay, so joining this company, trying to be more agile, trying this thing called Agile Adoption. Where do I really start, and where do we really start as a company? I realized, okay, if what I do best is to work with teams, maybe I think that's also the best part that I could start with QuadX. Maybe that's the best thing I could start introducing the Agile Adoption as well. At some point, I realized I made an unconscious decision to start with the teams, to make them realize, or to make them understand what this Agile Adoption is really all about, what the Scrum framework is all about, and how do we traverse the idea of adapting it, the idea of still building our products from one framework to another. So I started with teams, but I realized also that it's very important at some point to realize that, okay, that unconscious decision led me to realizing that if I knew better, that's really the right start for everyone. And that was in 2017. And in 2018, there was a talk from David Clatterback, which was hosted by Agile Singapore at that time, entitled Why Teams Are the Core of Creating a Coaching Culture. And he mentioned, if you want to start coaching, start with the team, then other teams will follow. It was then that I realized, okay, that unconscious decision in July 2017 was apparently the right decision. And that the concept, the impact of having to do that, to starting with that, has been really wonderful for our company. And I'll share more later on as we go along the talk. But I think that regardless of the start that we did, it's also very important for the rest of the company to know what we're doing. I mean, I mentioned I want to start with the teams. I want to educate them, coach them, facilitate how we do Scrum with them. But I think at the end of the day, if all the people surrounding us doesn't even have an idea of what we're doing, then it won't really matter. It won't really make sense. So that's when we started involving all of the people and making them realize, okay, do you really understand what we're trying to do? Do you really understand what our roles are? So what we did was to invite all the stakeholders of the company and all the people, especially the product owners and the development team members, to identify, okay, so let's play a game. Here are the responsibility cards, and let's find out if where you think it should be placed under is the right one where it should be. Along the way, we realize, as you can see, there are check marks. There are responsibility cards without check marks on it. So you'll note that, okay, some people got it wrong. Some people had to realize that, okay, that's not the proper placing for it. And at some point, you'll realize that the Scrum Master section there has gaps. So therefore, it used to have cards, and then people started discussing, but that would really be the Scrum Master's role and all. So anyway, my point here is that although I was trying to highlight the importance of starting with teams, starting small, really trying to figure out how the company will understand what we're doing through our teams. It's also very important for people to understand that understand us at least on this level. So I mean, play a game with your company and figure out, identify and figure out, do they know what we do, and do they understand why we're trying to do what we do. Okay. So along the way, as we're trying to work with the teams, one of the questions that came out also was, do we really know what our products are? So as I mentioned earlier, we started operating with teams. We started trying to build products on a per team level, but people in the company would still refer to projects, would still want 50 projects running across the organization. And we were thinking, okay, if we have established teams, but we are still on the idea that projects can run, and we don't really understand where it should fall under, then maybe we need to revisit where we are at this point in time. So we're thinking, instead of talking projects, can we, like as a team, and understand what our products are? So this was, I think, January of 2018, when the company had this all hands and started asking people to identify what we think our products are. And I think this simple question might have been, minor. I mean, companies would probably say, we should have known that, right? We should, as a company, we should know what our products are. But it was surprising to find out that as a company, we might not be having that shared understanding. We might not be really looking at it on a bigger picture. And we might still be looking at projects running multiple projects running parallel in the company. That's when we started figuring out that if we know what our products are, then we can start looking at the features that we need to build on a product basis, not on projects basis. And then by identifying where those initiatives come, which products it should fall under, it was then the identity of the team that we have established in the previous question comes into picture. Okay. So a year after, 2019, so 2018 was all about finding our identity, finding priorities, and where it really falls under. At some point in 2019, we started raising the question, even if we already have teams established, even if we know our products and we no longer, and we now prioritize projects on the level of our products, we're still slow. What's slowing us down now? This this question was very controversial, of course. I mean, if you would ask us to any company, this question would be based on context. Whoever you ask this would probably say, would probably look at it on their department perspective. One of the things that we realize is that the way we were structured is we're still on silos, meaning we still have business teams, we have technology teams, and operations teams. We were trying to figure out, of all the changes that we have applied so far, where's the slowdown coming from? Uh, what's causing the bottleneck? What's giving us the inconsistencies across the information, across the department, and across the organization? That's when we realize maybe there's something wrong with the way we're structured as a company. So we're trying to be more agile, but look at how we're structured. So ideally, business teams will have their plans, technology teams will have their plans, operations team will have their department, operations department will have their plans. And in my mind, definitely there's a hidden assumption that if I'm from technology, business and operations will align with me. But not really, right? Like if we're looking at it from that perspective, there's high collaboration needed across that. It came to a point that why are we saying that this is a priority of business, but when we look at it on the technology and operation side, they don't align well. Where's the gap coming from there? So we've been trying to probably solve communication gaps, identify where collaboration could happen more. But I think at that point in time, it wasn't still working for us as a company. And that's when we came to realize that structure is entirely not going to work for our company. That's when we started introducing the idea of business units. Now, it might be a simple box in this presentation. So easy to say, okay, we just change slides and we change that circular shape to another shape in there. But really, it's not as easy because personalities are involved here. People have to move around. Families have been established across departments and units. Relationships have been formed. And moving to this is not as easy. I know for a typical company, it's easy to say, that's just a movement. We all have to accept that. But I think there's something deeper to that. Like there's a sense of this is what I got used to versus this is an entirely different model for me to be working with. So with that one question, what's slowing us down? We started to realize the best way for us to be able to have people talk about that common theme. In our case, that's the product in itself. It's time to move people into basically one group where they work on building shipping cart and they work on building Google Express. So before it used to be business teams working on all products versus now that we have established business units to the point that people who are business savvy and people who are tech savvy are all in this business unit, and they get to talk about the product, where it should go to on the holistic point of view. Meaning, instead of just looking at the product on the technical level, we're looking at the products now on the business side. Customer complaints, how are we with that? How's the product operations running for us? How's our sales? How's marketing for us? So it became more holistic actually, not just for the company, but even for the people who became part of it. Part of that is that conversations are now not limited to this one. So business is not just talking about business. Technology is not about talking just about technology. Ops not about technology. People are now talking on it as a whole. When we build it, what's the business side, the development side, the marketing, sales? I think people got a deeper understanding and appreciation of the product on all multiple facets of it. So that's where we went, and we have been operating until now. Since then, it wasn't an easy move. It was really actually a challenging one for us. And there is still pros and cons of moving to business units, but I think the best thing that we did for is that we gathered people who have the shared, we gathered people and they had the shared understanding about their product and where to go from there. This is actually shipping our team, the business unit. So this used to be 3 different teams working on their own tables or workstations. But now they are co-located in one area. So people from the customer service, people from sales, from marketing, the business unit head, the product development team are all there. So if they need to work on something, you know that all the minds you need to be able to work on that product is there. So there. And then, okay, so we saw, so what's really the bottleneck? What's slowing us down here? The questions became deeper at some point. Like we started asking, are we building the right thing? So from the question of where do we start, what are our products, to why are we slow, what's slowing us down, it now became to it now became to a point that we're asking ourselves, is this the right product? Are we building the right thing? Is it really what our customers would want us to be building for them? Are we really hearing them? That's when we realize, okay, so this is our main warehouse in the Philippines before we acquired a sorter. So this is a very old picture. I'm not sure if I don't have a copy of our new one, so this is it. But it's not new to us to be able to be working with the people who will be using our products as we build them. But I think the shift that we did was, instead of talking to your customers to relay what has been deployed or what has been made available in production, we have now moved to the point that we talk to people while we talk to our users, we talk to our customers while we're building the product, not when the product is done. So in this picture, as I mentioned earlier, our company is highly empowered by our KBERX, our rider community. So most of we have a KBERX product which allows our riders to be able to reserve jobs in there. In this picture, what we're doing is we're trying to figure out how they use it and what are their feedback with the new version. So I have actually a different story coming from this experience. So from all the products I mentioned earlier, we are used to building it in the English language because that's actually our second language. And therefore, our development team has been used to building products using that language to communicate with our users. Now, when we build the rider app for them, that was also the same thinking that we have. For us, it's just another product. It's just the same thing. And then we launch it. And then the riders came to us and said, there are some parts of the app that we don't understand. That's when we realize, okay, the app should be built on our mother tongue, Tagalog, Filipino. But no, what we did was to build it for our other merchants, for our different customer segment. So what happened was we had to totally change the application, converted the language from English to Tagalog for them to be able to use it more. I mean, for them to be able to understand how it works. So I mean, that's just a funny story, a gap that, looking back at it now, it's just funny for me. Like we didn't realize how important it is to be communicating with them, to be identifying how they will really use it and how we should be able to work with them better. In this picture, we've learned from them things like the app has small font sizes. So when I'm sitting down, it's easy to read this. But when I'm riding a motorcycle, of course, I can't read this. So those simple things that's very easy to miss when we're developing products became more transparent to us on how it became more a conscious decision for our organization to be able to look at it on that point, on that level of building. So there. Some point in time, it started to dawn on us that it's 2019, most of the people are on mobile. Why are we still building our products on websites? Why are we still limiting ourselves to sites? Why can't we have mobile apps? Why can't we have presence on the iOS and the Play Store? Now, this question might have been easy, you know, like I can say, okay, so let's build mobile apps then. But here's the thing, the teams that we've built, they haven't been set up to be able to develop mobile apps. We have front-end developers, back-end developers, quality engineers, and data scientists working on the idea of websites. But nobody knows mobile app development from the teams. So when we were asked this question, for outside people looking in, it might have been a simple question of then just build it. But for us, it was an idea of, okay, so where do we hire people who can build apps for us, mobile apps for us? I thought that's the route we're going to go to. We're going to hire people. But the biggest surprise that I learned, the biggest surprise for me working with QuadX was that we didn't really needed to hire people, but instead the teams that we have established, the product development teams in our business units, our platform teams, they are the ones who extended effort to study about mobile app development, from just a simple site or front-end development, back-end development, to now moving to mobile app development, not by attending trainings. They didn't attend trainings at all, but just by self-studying, by working as a team, by learning from one team to another. So if one team finds out that this is one way to build better mobile apps, that gets shared to the other team, that gets discovered across the organization, and then we started building from each other's learning as we go along. So that question from 2019 was a simple one, but it was very, very difficult to navigate. But with the empowerment that the teams have, with the idea that they can do whatever they like to do, they are not limited to what they were hired for. They were allowed to explore further than what they can do. We were able to launch the shipping cart and the GoGo Express app, not just on Android, but also on iOS. So looking at it, I was thinking maybe some of the attendees might find this question, oh, that's easy. There's nothing so special about that. But if the story behind of how people have moved on from website development to mobile app development without much training, with just purely self-determination and self-study, even myself, I'm surprised at how far they have come along coming from there. And then it never stops, right? I mean, from one question to another, just keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And then there's a question this year around February. Why can I be product owner? And it came from the person we least expected it to come from, our CEO and founder. I mean, if I say it to you guys, why can I be product owner and I'm an agile coach? It might be subject for discussion, right? People might agree, people might disagree. But it came from our CNO and founder, the person who have been setting the vision for the whole company, the person who's probably the busiest for against all of us or compared to all of us. It was most of us didn't actually agree to it. More like, does he really have the time? Will he really make the time for it? Does he really understand the idea of what a product owner should be doing? And then looking at it now, we were actually asking the wrong questions. We were actually looking at the trivial things that he needs to do, like can he write his product backlog? Can he manage it? Can he attend Scrum events with us? While looking at it, I went to the Scrum guide definition of what a product owner should be. And this is not new to all of us. This is like everyone knows what a product owner should do. Everyone has read through this, has gone through this material, has gone through this definition for a long time now. But I think the thing that surprised me a lot was the bottom part. And of course, I highlighted it for everyone to see. The product owner may do the above work or have the development team do it. However, the product owner remains accountable. So that's when I realized, okay, so when he asked to join as the product owner of Google Express, one of the things we tried to figure out was, okay, when we do sprint planning, how does it happen? When we do sprint reviews, will he attend? Will he approve what he sees? When we do backlog refinement, will he be able to identify what we need to do next? And so far, we started that in February. It's now July 1. I think it was the best decision that he has made so many decisions in the company, but probably one of the best decisions that he has made and has the most impact for us in the company for multiple reasons, actually. One, he finally understood what we're trying to do. He finally understood, okay, this is how they build things. This is their cadence. What do they really need from me? And what can they do beyond what I expected them to do? So for if other product owners would say, I need you to build this, and would identify 10 items to be part of what needs to be built, he's our product owner who says, I need you to build this and then figure it out how to make it happen. That's kind of challenging at first for the team. Like, so okay, you want us to build this. How do we find out what needs to be built next? Or how do we build it on that level? That's when it came to our realization. It's actually doing the right thing. It's actually the correct product owner definition if we're looking at the definition in itself. He's just sharing the vision. He's managing the return of investment on the product, and we're the ones who are actually finally figuring out how to really do it. And he's giving us the freedom to finally identify what we really need to make it happen. That shift in mindset actually had so much impact for the organization as well, because when other stakeholders started realizing that he has been attending our sprint review, he has actually been looking at our product, what has been built, and how he wants certain features to be implemented. That's when other stakeholders started to realize, okay, I want in also. I also want to understand what's happening there. What's a sprint review? What's sprint planning? What's a backlog refinement? Tell me more about it. And I want to join, invite me. I want to see it. I want to see the product being built from the level of talking about it, just talking about it, to actually building that new feature from it. People started having to have a new appreciation of what the framework is all about and how we do things in the company. So for the team, here's the team that has been working with that new product owner. For some weird reason, I find this picture funny. Of all the pictures that I could find, why would there be a shark behind them? And it was taken before that announcement, before that big change. Was it in anticipation of the things to happen? But kidding aside, I was just thinking how wonderful it had been for this team to be able to be working with that product owner, and finally having a deeper appreciation also of the business side of how our CNO founder looks at things, how his mind works, so that he will be able to develop Google Express on the level that we should be expected to do. And then it was all a big change. It was all a big challenge. And then March 13 came in. And as we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic came and hit, I think, most of the businesses, but for our business, it's quite a challenging one. So for a logistics company with a lockdown implemented in the country, it's very, 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 very difficult to operate. No, public transportation in the Philippines was halted. So just imagine how that has impacted our business as well. But with that lockdown, the question that arose was, why should we stop? Why should we stop building? Why should we stop operating? That's when we realize, okay, how do we enable operations to be able to function still? How do we make sure development teams can stay home, stay safe and healthy while still building things for us? And that's when most of the changes came in for most of the products. So the easier part, I think, of being able to support the situation is that everybody was aware of what's happening around the business, what's happening in the organization, and everybody knows where they are needed. So looking back, if at 2017 and 2018 we didn't really identify teams, we're still working on projects, we're still pulling people from each and every initiative, then it would have been very, very difficult for us to identify, okay, you guys work on this product, you guys work on this product and make it happen. And actually, it really, really helped us a lot because it gave us a different understanding that if people just knows what to do, you don't really have to micromanage them. If people needs to know what their mission is for the company or for the business, then you will get more from them. I mean, not in the essence of time, but in the sense of them having the heart to be able to build this for the company and having the time, having to not be able to ask people, why should I work overtime over this and that? Now, here's also a funny thing, right? Because before the lockdown came into effect, we were trying to build a new service. We were trying to pivot. We were trying to create an idea of same-day delivery in NCR. The lockdown came into effect in March 16. March 12, we just launched our same-day delivery to select areas in select cities. And then the lockdown came in. That's when we realized people need essentials at this point in time, and they can't wait. People need things delivered to them right away. And this is the right time where we should be operating same-day delivery in the National Capital Region. So we did launch it in April, a month after. And how it happens, I'm also surprised at the extent that people has gone to make this service happen and to make it happen for all of us. And then something happened. A month after, we realized we're not ready for it. We're trying to create a service that some people are not happy about. Maybe we haven't thought of it to the level that we should have thought of it because we're trying to rush it. We're trying to be available for people who need it the most. So the company decided to stop it. And I think the lesson there is strategy really is deciding what not to do. And our company over the years has been really good at it, I believe, because we have multiple products that we have decided to stop and replace with something better. Now, this is quite challenging for us though, because we have been dedicating most of our time to be able to create this service, to be more competitive in the market, to be able to service more people in times of need. But deciding to stop it was not just because of revenue or loss or anything, but because we're not giving our users the right kind of service that they need or they deserve. So a month after, there was a decision to say that there was a decision to stop the service and find out what are our learnings from it and what can we do better next time. So at this point in time, we're still trying to learn and identify what can we really offer our customers, what can we really do as a company for them. And in my mind, I was thinking, if I'm going to share to the rest of the participants attendees today, how was the journey so far? I was thinking, I think it's best to share probably with you guys how it has been for me personally. And this is something I got from the team coaching. If you've noticed, I have attended so much Singapore trainings. Thank you, Stanley. So this was from the Team Coaching by David Clutterback back in November 2018. This is from the movie Nanny McPhee, and David said, Nanny McPhee has the best advice about coaching. She said, there's something you should understand about the way I work. When you need me but don't want me, then I must stay. When you want me but no longer need me, then I have to go. It's rather sad, really, but there it is. So I want to share the journey in a way that resonated with me the most was the idea that when I joined the company as a Scrum Master, all I've been thinking was, how can I help the team? How can I be useful for them? But apparently I was asking the wrong questions, the probably the stupid questions now if I look back at it, because I realized those are not the questions I should be asking. The question I should really be asking is, how do they not need me? How do they operate in a way that they don't really need to depend on a person to be able to understand what being agile is all about, what the Scrum framework is all about? How do I make this organization understand it in a way that if someone asks the question, they don't really need me to answer it for them. They themselves, they can answer it. So after this training in 2018, I realized, okay, I should change my mindset. I should really be working towards the idea of making people or making teams better than they are today, not even last month, last week, but yesterday to the day. And then a year after, actually, almost 2 years, last February, we were fortunate enough to be able to attend the problem solving leadership in Bangkok by Esther and Don. And this was the definition that they have for problem solving leadership. So they said it's defined as, by the way, these are my notes, so I'm sorry. The first one was quite messy. So this is an iteration of notes writing. There you go with iterations and increments. But anyway, they define problem-solving leadership as the ability to enhance the environment so that everyone is empowered to contribute creatively to solving the problem and problems, definitely plural. So was it an easy journey? Was it a fun one? Was it an easy traverse? Of course not. Those questions, they might have been, if I have been sharing it to you guys, it might have been a quick story, a very, very straightforward question and answer. But really, the journey behind it wasn't easy. I myself, I don't really understand some of the questions, and I don't really know how to solve them, how to answer them the right way. And along the way, I might have gaps that I've done so far. But I think the best that we've established for the company is that we have still been making it a good environment for the teams, for them to be able to contribute so that people don't have to own accountability, so that it is a shared accountability across the organization. I think that if at 2017, I decided to make it all about me, all about the Scrum Master role, all about the organization understanding it, and not really empowering teams to be able to do things that, of course, they are the people who are building it, and they should be the ones who should be asked those questions, right? So I think as Agile coaches or Scrum Masters, it's really our responsibility. Well, not just us, I think it's also everyone's responsibility, but mostly us, to be able to have that an empowering environment for most of us. Because if I feel empowered, if I feel motivated, the story of our company about being able to launch iOS and Android apps might haven't been there. The easy answer could have been, then hire mobile app developers, then find out people who can do it. Don't depend on us to be able to build it for you. But what happened so far is that making that environment more fruitful for them, more motivating for them. It has brought the company to different milestones that even myself, I'm surprised that we've been there going through it. And for some weird reason, the values that was written in 2019 by our people group about teams resonated so much with what our agile adoption so far has been. So they said leadership is about building great teams. Now, when I was working on this material, this came in 2019, this came in Feb 2020, and this was in 2018. So looking at it, it was years and years of finding out this is really where we should be. But the idea is that I won't go through all that statement, but for QuadX, while we count on our leaders in conducting our teams, our orchestras of diverse and complementary thinkers, we expect all of us to share the responsibility of being highly effective collaborators, enabling a team of truly engaged people accomplishing amazing results. And so far, it has been amazing. Not always, because we decided to stop certain things that doesn't work for us anymore, but still, learning is there. So what's not lost, right? And then here's the thing. I think a month ago, I was having this catch up with Stanley and my PSL classmates. And then it came to a point when we were asked, okay, so where do you see yourself 5 years from now? And then I was, hello, Z, hello. And then I told them, you know what, as Agile coaches and Scrum Masters, our work doesn't really stop when the time out happens, right? When office work is over, we don't really stop working. Our mind still keeps running. We still keep questioning ourselves. Why did the team talk about this certain thing in this way? Why does this person talk about this certain thing in this way? Our mind just keeps running, trying to analyze certain things, trying to find out how to make it better, how to enable teams, empower teams. But I think in my mind, if that's the kind of job or that's the kind of responsibility that we have, the last thing I want to share with you guys is that the role entails so much self-care. Like, I know this is quite off topic, but this is what I learned from the Saturday Growth Model Workshop by Jean and Yu last September 2017, almost 3 years ago now. But it says, self-care is not about being selfish. It's about being sustainable. The reason why I'm sharing it with you guys because the job requires so much of our active listening, observation, trying to sense emotions coming from each and every people in the team, trying to find out what's not being said, trying to find out things that should have been better for the different teams. And in my mind, I think it's very, very important for us to be able to take care of ourselves, for us to be able to sustain doing it, for us to be able to continue on with the agile adoption that our company has been going so far. And then where to next? For QuadX, actually, we still have so much questions we left unanswered at this point in time. We have a clear idea of where we want to be last January, but when the pandemic hit us, it wasn't as easy to answer. Actually, it wasn't an easy question to think about. So that's why at this point in time, we're still trying to figure out, okay, what's the new business for us? How can we cater to the new normal? How can we learn more? How can we work remotely, but still as a team? Those are the things that we have been asking now. And in terms of the way we call our Agile adoption, Agile X, the idea is that it's an Agile QuadX. Agile QuadX meaning not just the tech teams, not just the product development teams. We want to expand also the idea that how about we work on Agile HR, Agile marketing, Agile sales, or maybe Agile operations since that's the core of our business. But those are our possibilities. We're not limiting ourselves to where we are right now. We have so much to do in QuadX. But so far, what I can share with you was it has been a fulfilling journey, and I'm really, really, really excited. I think even the rest of the Xers who are also in this call, I know how excited they are for the next things that will happen for QuadX. So that's it. I think that's it for my sharing.
Wow, thank you so much for the wonderful and inspiring story.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Sandy.
yes,
Yay!
yes.
Let me sorry, let me stop it. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think we can open up to the, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Are there questions? Let me stop.
Let's open up for questions. So people from audience, please, you can unmute yourself if you like. You have a question, unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, to show a video so that Lisa can see exactly who she's speaking to. That'll be excellent if you're comfortable, and you can ask the question, and I'll keep track of the time.
Okay. Hi, Z.
Hi, Lisa. Thank
Hello.
you for sharing. It's actually the whole time I knew you, I didn't actually hear this story before. So really, thank you for sharing.
Yes, welcome. You're welcome, Z.
Questions?
Do you have questions? Or maybe something you want to share with us? Something that puzzles you, or learned something new, or was trying to figure out from the material?
Yeah, no, but perhaps we can just do that. So for the next 1 minute, you have 1 minute to share what you learned, what is your takeaways from the talk in the group chat. I will keep track of the time starting now.
Thomas is speaking, I think, but we can't hear him.
Yeah, I couldn't hear Thomas.
Wrong microphone. Is it better now? Sorry for that.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Lhiza. This is absolutely fascinating, seeing that journey. I'm wondering, the biggest question I had while you were explaining that and sharing this, how has the team developed? So how would you say, how were the people at the beginning of this journey, at the end of the journey, and how has it evolved? How has it gotten better? How has it changed? I mean, we talk about this cross-functional thing, about being more autonomous, being more productive, etc. Can you describe that? Are there any learnings from that?
Okay, so the first picture I shared was that one table of development team, right? And that team has to take on all the product feature requests, or all the requirements that has to go through the team. First thing that has changed for them is that from trying to work on different products, we started giving them more focus. Like, if you guys are going to work on this product, then maybe we should have you as a team working on this one so that you have more focus out of it. And then it started becoming from the idea of trying to work on different projects, having more focus, looking at this on the perspective of the product on the level of not just the feature requests, but on a holistic approach. We're looking at it on the level of, if the product works on the side this way, how does this work on the back end, on the front end? What's next for it? It became to the point that we have moved away from the idea of projects and started looking at the perspective that if all things has to happen on that particular product, this team is the single point of contact for those things. And then the next improvement that I think has been very, very relevant for the company was the idea that they have moved on from the idea that I'm a front-end developer or a back-end developer to the idea of, okay, where can I help now in the sprint? Do you need me as a front-end developer to look at the back-end now, or maybe vice versa? Where there's no like 100% commitment there that I'll be full stack by the end of the sprint. But the idea of where can I help? If this is our goal, if this is our shared vision as a team, how can I help this team now? So we've moved from the idea that you only work on your role, you only work on your certain limitations, but you are free to work on where you find it interesting, where you see you're going to learn more. So that's my story about mobile app development, where it came to a point that you really don't know how to traverse the idea of building mobile apps when we don't really have dedicated mobile app developers. So it was an idea of, okay, who can do it? Was interested to do it. Okay, I'm interested. Okay, go ahead. So I mean, it wasn't easy, of course. If we had that dedicated mobile app developer, it might have been faster. But well, the learning is there. I mean, it would have taken us months, but people can now do it, and I think that's the best. I think that's the best change that has happened for them so far. I hope I was able to answer your question.
No, lovely. I mean, you're describing that people turn from I individuals to T's by developing new skills because they're becoming cross-functional and increasing the ability of the team to do greater things, right? To become more capable is a very gradual process, and you described that beautifully. And I'm sure this journey hasn't ended yet. You're still working on building that power team, right? That super team.
Yeah, really far from over. Really far from over.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, we can't
Sorry.
hear.
Yeah, I cannot hear you, Stefan. Sorry, still couldn't hear you. Could you try again?
How about that, Stanley? Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Good.
Lhiza, thank you so much. That was a wonderful sharing, a really exciting journey. And I think I'd also like to thank the other questions there. They were excellent and you've answered them very well. So if I had one question I was going to ask you for the next part of the journey, what's the one thing, if you were to name just one thing, I'm sure there are lots, but what's the one thing that you think you need or the team need to take that next step?
So, yeah, thank you for recognizing that. Of course, I have lots on my mind right now, and having me to choose just one is a very difficult question. It's a very challenging one. But I'll try to attempt to answer that question. But in my mind, I think we haven't reached the potential of business units. Like, yeah, we talk better now. We have a shared understanding of what the business is like for our different products. But we've gone to the point that dev teams have a deeper understanding of what the operations and the logistics business is all about. But we haven't really explored agility on the level of business units, on the level of the idea that it's not just the development teams having a deeper understanding of Scrum framework. Like, how can we be more of an agile view from the perspective of the business unit head down to the operations customer service? How can we be more agile about it? To be really honest, that has been bugging me for quite some time because I was thinking, I wanna try to work on it, but I'm not sure if how it will be actually. And I'm really looking forward to some feedback from you guys if I got to talk to you outside. Probably for those of you who have done it, I'll be happy to hear more about it and find out how you have been doing it for your companies. So that's it for me. Very hard question to be able to choose just one, but I think that's one thing for me. Agile operations is the second, if I'm parsing it.
Great answer, and we can connect offline.
Okay, thank you. I'll talk to you offline. Thank you, Stephen.
Lisa, I forgot a question. So your CEO, what kind of person is? Is it a he or she?
A he.
He. What kind of person is he?
Oh, so his name is Dino Araneta, and we call him the Innovation. Like, innovation and his name should always come together. You know, that's the hashtag of the company. He's a very visionary person, but he's really very open. He's really very transparent. I want this to happen, make it happen, but let me know what's taking you so long. What's the challenge for you? So actually, when he first decided to become product owner, we're we're not quite so sure it will work because he's a visionary. He wants to try out and experiment on more things as much as he can. So having to be able to work with a team who needs to have a sprint, a goal, who has to be able to work on this for 2 weeks, they were thinking, how fast will he pivot? Like maybe in a week he will change direction. Like maybe we can't do it, but apparently not, because the deeper he got to understand how we build things, the more transparent we got to each other. That's when he realized, okay, I have a vision, but you need me to figure out what I want in the next 10 days, then this is it. But you should be also open to the idea that I might change my mind in a few days. So a sample would be, sorry for taking too long to answer, but one story that resonated so much with me was when he wanted to introduce new pouch sizes for the product, because we were only offering one size. And then we were about to launch it, and then the pandemic came in, and it wasn't so easy to acquire new parcel sizes for the companies. We won't be able to launch it. And instead of saying just launch it, just make it available for the customer, he was the one who said, you know what, let's stop it, put it on hold, because if you launch it now, I don't have the option to be able to procure those pouches. I don't have the ability. So let's pause it for now and figure out what we can do next that we don't have so much dependency on. So I mean, those are the things that we don't have information before, when we were very, very limited in terms of the information that was shared on us. But when he shares the level of even procurement, even business, even marketing, that's when we realize, okay, he's willing to understand us. Therefore, we're also really willing to understand him as well. So yeah.
So he has the interest to understand how things are working, and also thoughtful in considering in many in different perspectives. Okay.
Yes, actually, he just gave feedback, I think, last week. Like, we were asking him if, do you want to stop now? Do you want to stop the product owner role now because you now fully understand it? He said, no, I'm having fun. So why do you have to ask me to stop? I'm having fun here. I'll continue. And actually, he said, I have a different understanding of how things work now. So I'll build I'll prioritize differently. So yeah.
Yeah, I can see the relationship of open, the curiosity, and also explorative.
Yeah.
So Z has a question. He says, he asked, if there were one thing you would have done differently, what would that be?
Oh wow, this is quite existential question there. Yeah. To be really honest, I won't change a thing. 2020 now, we started July 2017. I joined the company July 10, so I'm turning 3 years now with the company. And my mind right back then was so limited because I'm so used to working with teams. And, you know, in my mind, this Scrum Master thing is an easy task. Like, I just have to work with teams. What's so difficult about it? I was 1000% wrong back then. But I appreciate that learning. I appreciate that wake-up call by realizing that I'm not really helping the company and the teams as we moved along. Because the idea that I learned that along the way, it gave me a different understanding that if at the onset I knew about that, I could have been, you know, very righteous, very commanding, very directing that this is the way that things should happen. I would like it to remain that way. I would like it to be learning along the way, learning with the teams and learning with the organization. I think that's it. Sorry, Z, but if top of mind, really, there's nothing. I really can't change anything at all at this point in time. But I wouldn't want it any other way. this point in time.
Other people, any more questions? Then I have one question for you.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay.
Sense it coming.
Oh no. Can somebody else ask questions first? Can't be standing.
Someone else
Yeah,
help Lisa.
No, no. No, no. Go ahead.
What would you say? How would other people, your colleagues, what kind of person are you from their perspective?
Oh my God, they're here. Maybe I should ask them, but no, I'm kidding. Guys, but anyway, I believe that they look at me as, I'd like to believe, there's one, maybe one can answer. I'd like to believe that they see me as a person who's also willing to learn with them. Okay. My fellow Scrum Masters are chatting and I'm now disturbed, but no, I'm kidding. I'd like to believe that sometimes they see me as a stern person, like a person who can be really strict about things, who can really be saying, okay, guys, this is how we should be operating as a team. I'm especially that way if I see that there's so much potential for a team to be working together. That's my initial things on how I handle things. And then eventually, once I see the team trying to understand where they are as a team, trying to have a different grasp of, okay, I see now what Lisa is saying. I see now that she's really trying to tell us this is how we should do things. Then I try to slowly step away from it and try to look at it on the perspective of, on a different angle. So as much as possible, I'm a fun person, so I know I'm trying to believe that they look at me as a fun person, but they also see me as someone who on serious conversations will really listen and really look at it on that perspective. I don't answer questions just like that abruptly, but I really look for questions left hanging, reason behind the questions. So they see me as deep, but also a fun person outside work. I hope. Oh my God.
Are they here to share their perspective of you?
Do you guys want to share? But maybe not.
Yeah, if you, if you are comfortable, then that would be.
Yeah,
that
I
could be
am
interesting
actually.
perspective. Yeah.
Actually, guys, go ahead. I promise not to get mad. Joke. I'm kidding. No, I think we also have people here from Agile Philippines and mostly people from QuadX. Feel free, guys, to share how I am as a person, maybe. Anyway. Oh, I like that.
Perhaps you can.
Okay. Marisol texted, I'm a good listener.
To personally share.
Sorry?
Perhaps you can invite one of them to share their personal opinion.
Oh, okay. Tech, can I invite you to join since Tech is the one who sent a chat here? Sorry, Tech. She available? Oh, I'm not sure.
Okay. Well,
okay.
Well,
Hi, Lisa. Sorry.
Oh, hello.
Yes. Yeah.
Yay.
A bit noisy here in my area, so I opt to mute. Okay. One thing I can share is Lisa is a very good listener. At some point, when I'm so down and I think there are very stressful things that's in my mind, I always ask her advices, and That's it. And then she'll give me everything that I need, and then everything will go well, as in okay.
Ah, thanks, Tech.
So
I'll take it to good.
I hear there's a supportive,
Yes, yes.
supportive, caring, and the reason I asked that question is because I mean, part of the reason you are able to create an environment where it's productive for people. Part of the reason also comes from how people see you. And how people see you also depends on your own beliefs, your own habits, behavior, your thinking, the things that you grew up with. So I think those are some of the underlying elements of a good leader, and let's surface it from these answers.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for explaining it. Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a question for you. What estimation methods were used
Methods.
in a project by Jana?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So for our Scrum teams, we have total of, I think, 5 Scrum teams in the company. We're mostly using planning poker. Yeah, planning poker mostly, but I'm aware actually of other estimation methods that is available for us. But the idea is that regardless of the method, I'm actually more keen in the reason why we're using that method. I'm actually more invested on why that estimation has to happen. So we're mostly using planning poker, but if we can use, if the team suggests to use other methods, then I'm fine with it. For as long as the intention is to be able to start conversations. For me, that's really the essence of estimation, is to have as a team a deeper understanding of the idea of, okay, do we really understand what needs to be done here? And do we have an idea of, are we really aligned, or is there anything that you know that I don't know, or maybe some of you know that most of us don't know? So in my mind, the short answer to your question, I'm sorry for that, is that we're using planning poker. It's the most fun one for us so far. But really our intention is to be able to start conversations across team members when they plan what needs to happen for the sprint. We're also most of the teams are also tracking their velocity. So the idea is that it's not really being used as a metric against them, but it's really meant for them to be able to find out, okay, if that's how we are as a team based on certain conditions, like if the last sprint has so many holidays and we can only deliver this much, then that gives us an idea of how much, a wild guess of how much we can do this coming sprint. So we use planning poker with the idea of, with the combination of also tracking their velocity. I hope I was able to answer your question, Jana.
Along those similar lines, Lisa, a general saying is this: the more mature an agile team becomes, the more it will start to gravitate towards a Kanban continuous delivery model, meaning you stop running in sprints and simply start building stuff as it prioritizes. Do you see any trends of your teams moving to that one, or in certain pockets that you're saying, hey, we're starting to become more continuous with how we work and how we deliver?
Oh, okay. Actually, with the teams that we have right now, the product teams, not yet, but I'm seeing the need for Kanban for other teams in the company. So FM is actually here. He sent a message, and he's part of our data ninjas, our data experts, data scientists in the company. And one of the things they asked was, what framework works for us as a data science team or service analytics team? One of the things we find out is maybe they don't really fit with the Scrum framework because they don't really have that set of time blocks that they really need to. So what we tried experimenting Kanban with them. So to be really honest, I haven't fully explored Kanban to its potential. But in my mind, it works on certain teams. And in our company, I should be, flexible enough to allow teams to use Kanban, some teams to allow Scrum framework. So I think that's how I see it. We don't have to be very loyal to a single framework to be more agile. So some teams some teams will like Scrum, some teams will not like it, might try Kanban for them. And then at some point in time, we also tried experimenting with a framework that tries to pattern large scale Scrum, because we tend to have teams where they grew bigger than 9, so and more. So we were looking into the idea of, okay, should we start experimenting on scaling the Scrum framework for them? So we did large scale Scrum, not fully, but at least some portion of it. So yeah, I hope I was able to answer your question, Thomas.
We have more messages pouring in. I will take one last question from Pio, but before that, there is acknowledgement from I guess your colleagues. Yeah, and also Sam. Sam says that she can't talk now, but she found new strength from Nancy's code. Thanks to you for sharing, and Lisa is really caring. She'll listen to you and give you feedback, help you with your agile journey, your life journey as well. Oh.
Is it my birthday today? Thank you, guys. Thank you for wonderful messages. Yeah.
Okay, let's take one last question from that'll be from Pio. Yeah.
Hello, Pio. What's the biggest resistance faced during organizational change, and how did you deal with it? Oh, this might be very common for most of us, but the biggest resistance came from the leadership, actually, from certain stakeholders. I couldn't say like all of them. Should I not say resistance? I think resistance is quite a heavy word. I'd say they don't really fully understand what we're trying to do, so they are not really on board with it. And it was quite the challenging part for us, because as we were trying to build teams and make them understand how it works, we're also facing some form of challenge on how we work with the other members of the company, other employees in the company. So it's not really a form of resistance, but it's a form of we don't really understand. And I don't have the opportunity to understand, so I don't make the time, or I don't have the time to understand it now. That's the biggest challenge. And sometimes really it's easy to say something verbally, but I think a deeper understanding that would benefit any agile adoption is to actually really see something happen out of it, rather than you guys preaching what it is really about. So it took us a long time to show what this agile adoption can do. And when it started, that's when the understanding poured in. That's when the idea of, okay, I understand better now. But every time the challenge is you have to understand more. There's more to it. It was actually quite a very wonderful year for us, Pio, because I dealt with it by trying to show them the benefits of trying to adapt Agile to what it can do for the company, not just for tech, not just for teams, but also for the company. And I dealt with it in a way that I wasn't angry they couldn't understand it, because if I myself were in that position and I don't see anything coming out of it, then I probably won't be as involved as well. So I dealt with it by trying to take it gradually. It might took a long time, but at this point in time in 2020, I see people who don't really understand it now finally giving us credit that says the reason why we were able to launch a specific service during the pandemic, even when everyone was on remote, was because of this, was because of Agile adoption. I mean, I wanted to hear that in 2017. but it wasn't the right time. We don't have anything to show them, and it wasn't easy for them to say that, right? So dealing with it in a way that they need to see something come out of it. Especially, I don't want to abuse the moment of the pandemic, but this is when it really became evident that trying the Agile adoption really made us soar higher, go to where we are right now at this point in time. And to be hearing them from them themselves without me pushing these things to them, that's quite wonderful.